Question: what do the following songs have in common? They all use factory presets from well-known VST plugins, and just like with samples, there's always been a big debate of whether you should or should not use presets in your songs, so that's what we're discussing today. Now, whether you like it or not, many hit songs use presets, so the question is it really that easy to find and use the right preset? Like, if it were that easy, wouldn't everybody have written a hit by now? So to shed some light on that question, let's take this example of a massive hit, which is Ariana Grande's 7 Rings. This song has over 2 billion streams on Spotify, and the synth we just heard is in fact a preset from Omnisphere called Whistler's Bells. Now, if we take this same melody and play it on another sound, say a piano, does it sound as good as it did before? Now, I don't think so, and an analogy I like to use here is that the melody and the chosen sound should be like a successful marriage. Like, both need the right partner to fully complement each other and to harmoniously live together. Now, analogies aside, and my personal experience using presets is a great way to get inspired, as presets can easily help spark ideas and save time. And presets can even be a great learning tool. Like, a lot of presets are made by professional sound designers, and you can learn a lot by just studying the parameters of your favorite sounds. However, to some producers, using presets is seen as a cardinal sin. Like, it's often believed to be a lack of originality and creativity, sometimes even considered cheating, as using presets could, for example, result in your music sounding similar to that of others. And that is, of course, a horrible thing. Now, I think it's time to take a listen to some more songs that use presets. An artist we know very well and dearly is Avicii, who is considered to be the king of melodies. But many of his songs rely on factory presets from synths like Silent One and Nexus. Like, if we open up Silent, there are a couple presets that Avicii used, like this one. And this one. So does the fact that these are factory presets ruin these songs? Now, I don't think so, and I'm sure most listeners will never find out or even care at all. And I'd actually argue that it takes a great creative mind to understand where and how a preset could be used exactly. Like, these sounds are probably easily overlooked if you don't give them a careful eye or ear, and that makes the case that sound selection is a very, very useful skill, maybe as important as sound design, or even more important. You let me know in the comments below. Now, let me play you another example. This song, called What They Want by DIY pioneer Russ, uses the analog tremolo piano preset from Omnisphere. So yes, it's a preset, everybody could have used it, but it was Russ who figured out the chords and who produced, wrote, mixed, and mastered the song around it. Like, you know, maybe the preset sparked Russ's creative process, but of course there's many more creative decisions to be made and obstacles to be overcome to getting a song right. Okay, so sound selection is obviously very important, and so is knowing what to do with a preset, like what melody or chords to play with it. But there's also examples where knowing what melody to play with a preset is less important, like this Mac Miller song. So this song called Loud uses a Silent One factory preset, but unlike the other presets we've discussed so far, this sound is an arpeggio, and all it takes to play this melody is holding one note, this F. Now, if you don't like the idea of using presets, or if you're maybe not that well versed in sound design yet, then tweaking presets may offer some common ground, as it allows you to go a little further in your creative process without necessarily knowing the ins and outs of sound design yet. So to illustrate the power of tweaking presets, let's take the song Poison by Martin Garrix. And the starting point for the synth used in Poison is the Sylenth-1 137 5th Prophet preset. Now, this doesn't sound so great yet, so what Garrix did is he disabled the arpeggio, he decreased the pitch of this one oscillator, which was set to 5, and he lowered the intensity of the delay, which is how we end up with the following sound. And then of course he came up with these amazing chords. And finally he automated the filter cutoff to play with the tension. And in a similar fashion, the Chainsmokers tweaked another Sylenth-1 presets for their songs Roses and Something Just Like This, which is the 357 Icicle preset. So what they did is they turned up the filter cutoff knob all the way. They lowered the reverb size and disabled the delay. They increased the sustain and decreased the release on all oscillators. And then they applied some EQ and sidechaining. So played with the right chords, this is what our tweaked preset sounds like. So with a few effective tweaks, it is possible to give presets your own touch, but if you still frown upon the idea of using or even tweaking presets, then the solution is to actually learn sound design. And while this can be a very complex subject, the beauty is that it doesn't have to be. Like, you don't need to have insane skills for effective sound design. Let's for example take the following bass synth. So this one's from Unholy by Sam Smith and Kim Petras, which has accumulated over 1.5 billion streams on Spotify. And basically this bass synth does most of the talking in this song, and its sound design is really quite simple. Now let's actually take a short trip down memory lane and listen to Old Me for a little sound design lesson.
So starting from scratch, let's increase the number of voices to 6, and let's reduce this detune knob to around 0.08. Then let's turn on the filter and decrease the filter cutoff while increasing both the drive and fat knobs for extra power and drive. Let's then drag these envelope modulators to cutoff and resonance respectively and mitigate the extent to which they modulate. And let's finally adjust the filter modulation envelope to create a more plucky bass sound through the attack and sustain knobs. Like this, and then we'll have the melody go back and forth between C# and D. Interesting.
So back to the point I was trying to make, if you don't want to use or tweak presets, then you will at least have to learn the basics of sound design, but you don't necessarily need Skrillex level skills in sound design to create cool and effective sounds. So you should not get discouraged by the idea of learning sound design. Now, we've talked about presets, examples, pros, cons, and potential solutions, and I'd love to hear from you. Where do you stand in terms of using presets? I mean, I myself am guilty of using presets. Take this song I recently made, where the main synth actually comes from a Factory Diva preset. Which reminds me, I actually made a series on the making of this song where I paid Fiverr producers and a vocalist to help me create and finish it. So I definitely recommend you to go watch that next and let me know your thoughts. And with that said, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.